Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Yankees take 2 of 3 from the Houston Astros. However, they are unable to get the sweep. They lose the finale, so they came in with, in general, a 5-game winning streak just on the season. And they were 6-0 versus the Astros this season. And then dating back to last year, they had a 9-game winning streak against the Astros and going for 10. So unfortunately, the series ends on a sour note. In terms of run differential, the Yankees just obliterated the Astros. So it's unfortunate the way that it ends. And winning 2 out of 3, like I said, going in, that's still more than good. And to be honest, the Astro record is misleading. So the Astros, it's been a real struggle for them. They sit now at 13-24, which is awful, really, really bad. But you look at that lineup, and you even look at, the rotation bullpen on paper, it's a lot better than that record. So, taking 2 out of 3 is certainly nothing to, be down about. But it's against the Astros, and it could have just ended. It's a quick end of the season series. I mean, in early May, it would have been nice to have gone 7-0 and to continue that streak, but it doesn't happen. But that said, a lot of good in this Yankee series, and in terms of the starters. So let's just talk about that real quick. There are a lot of home runs in this series, mostly by the Yankees, but also a little bit by the Astros. But for the Yankees, really, really good start by Luis Gil. He has been great lately, and I keep on saying it. He's got electric stuff. I mean, in this game, he allows 1 hit in 6 innings, 4 walks, and so that's always going to be the bugaboo with Gil is the walks, but only 1 hit. That's how good it is. And so now he's 3-1 now, and his ERA on the season is 2.92, 45 strikeouts in 37 innings, and a WHIP of 1.14. I mean, all of that, walks included, pristine. Let me see what the opposing batting average is. Wow, 143. It's going to be very interesting to see when Cole comes back. What do they do with Gil? Because I know he's kind of the odd man out, but he has been one of their best starters, quite frankly. Then game 2, I'll get you more specific numbers when we get there, but Carlos Rodón, another good start for Rodón, and what has been a real nice bounce back after a horrific year 1. Rodón was good. And, and his numbers, I think, will reflect that as well. And then the game 3 starter, Marcus Stroman, he has been, at this point through the season, with the 5 starters that have been, he has been the worst of the 5. Now, Marcus Stroman is a 5th starter. That's totally fine if that's what it is. But Stroman has run into some issues. To be honest, if he had gotten more run support, it's not really something that we're completely talking about. It's partially because they lost. But with Stroman, he allows so many base runners, and he's able to get out of it. I mean, his WHIP is right around 1.5, which is really bad. But that's kind of Stroman's MO. The ERA always looks better than the WHIP. So he's able to get out of the jams, but if he puts the ball over the middle of the plate, it's going to get crushed. That's why he tries to be so fine. So I wanted to give just sort of an overview of the rotation. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of somewhat trends continuing with Gil and Rodón on the positive side and Stroman a little bit more on the negative side. As far as the offense, just a lot of home runs in this series is kind of what comes to mind. Now, I wasn't able to fully, at least for game 1, I was at the Ranger game. So I did the best I could to try to follow along to the Yankee game. So not going to be as detail-oriented with that game. And then even game 3 kind of a little bit there as well, as that kind of bled into the Ranger game, which at this point, as you can tell by the jersey, a little bit more priority going on there with them in the playoffs. And the Yankees kind of still in early season mode. But yeah, I mean, Juan Soto comes to mind, Judge as well. Verdugo in game 1 was really the main star almost. He had 4 RBIs and a big 3-run homer off of Justin Verlander. So let's jump right into it. And in terms of any transactions, the only thing that is going to happen, and I just wanted to make sure if there had been anything officially announced on who was being sent down. I don't think there was, but let me just confirm. Oh, there was. So they are actually going to send Marinaccio down. Interesting. So the Yankees are going to activate Nick Burdi from the IL. And I had kind of thought that Michael Tonkin that they would have designated him for assignment. I guess the idea here is, and sometimes Cashman does this, because look, Marinaccio has actually been pretty good lately. Not that Tonkin's been bad, but Tonkin they would have lost likely through waivers. So this was kind of a situation where Marinaccio has options, so they sent him down. So it makes sense from strategically, it makes sense because you can keep as many players. Like this allows you to keep both players. But it's a little unfair to Marinaccio. I kind of figured it'd be Tonkin. Apparently it's not. Marinaccio's sent down. And I'm sure we'll probably see him fairly soon. That's just the way that it tends to go with injuries. Although when I think about it, Tommy Kahnle's not all that far away. So it's not, maybe we won't see Marinaccio too soon. But anyway, first game, pretty awesome that the Yankees really, really beat up on Justin Verlander. In recent years, I'm sure if we look back at certain games, there were games where the Yankees got to Verlander, but it always seems to be where he seems hittable, but the final Verlander ends up going deep and ends up pitching pretty well in terms of run prevention. In this game, 5 innings, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 3 homers. Just an absolute ugly line any way you want to look at it. Hits, runs, walks, lack of strikeouts, and a lot of home runs allowed. So you love to see that because Verlander has been public enemy number 1 for a long time now. For many, many years. So, and then Gil really outdueled him in a major, major way. It wasn't a duel. This was not like Gil versus Corbin Burns from the week before. So, first inning, Kyle Tucker homers. It's his 10th homer of the season. Now, the Yankees allowed a home run. The Yankees actually allowed 4 home runs in first innings in the series. 1 in game 1, 1 in game 2, and 2 in game 3. And in game 3, it did cost them. So, got to clean that up. And actually, it kind of has been a bit of a thing. I think to the Orioles series, the Tigers series, where Yankees have allowed first inning home runs. It's probably mostly a fluke, but it has happened. But the Yankees respond very well in the bottom of the first. And it ends up being a 3-run homer by Alex Verdugo, his 5th homer of the season. So a really good game 1. He did cool off as the series went on, but Verdugo makes it 3-1 at that point. Let's go to the bottom of the third. And in the bottom of the third, Verdugo's back at it again. He gets an RBI single. So just like that, 4 RBIs for Verdugo. In the bottom of the fourth, it would be a 2-run homer for Anthony Volpe. So Volpe makes it 6-1. It's an opposite field homer. And for Volpe, he also homered in game 3. So he's been getting homers lately. And I will say they mostly been to the opposite field. However, it doesn't seem like he's getting too many hits besides that, although that's not entirely true. He did have 2 hits in game 3, but for Volpe, who had kind of cooled down, I guess you can say he's heating back up, certainly in the home run department. So that 4th homer of the year gives the Yankees a 6-1 lead. Then we go to the bottom of the 5th, and Giancarlo Stanton hits an absolute missile home run. I guess, actually, he hit more of a missile in game 2. This one is 118.8 miles an hour. It actually would be more than that in the second game, but Stanton's homer, and it was a Stantonian blast, just a line drive out of there, makes it 7-1 Yankees. And he ends up going 6 innings, and it ends on a very nice catch by Alex Verdugo to end the inning. Again, great job by Luis Gil. Love what I'm seeing from him. Bottom of the 6th, Verlander's out at this point, and you get an RBI single from Aaron Judge to make it 8-1. Ron Marinaccio pitches was it the 7th and the 8th? Yeah, Marinaccio goes 2 scoreless. And that's the other thing, whatever. I already discussed it, but Marinaccio goes 2 scoreless. Bottom of the 7th, you end up with an RBI single by John Birdie, who at that point, he started that game. He started that game over Oswaldo at third. And then an RBI ground up by Anthony Volpe makes it 10-1 Yanks. Then let's jump to the top of the 9th. Michael Tonkin comes in, and really the game should have been over. It's a couple of unearned runs he allows. It was a Victor Caratini reaching on an error on a throw by John Birdie, which allowed Trey Cabbage to get a 2-run single. So the that makes it 10-3. Yankees win by that score. So a very easy win for the Yanks, really from start to finish. Great pitching by Luis Gil, and Alex Verdugo with that 3-run homer in the first, and they really didn't look back from there. So a very nice win for the Yankees. Game 2. And this was the most lopsided pitcher matchup on paper, and it kind of played itself out that way. Carlos Rodón for the Yankees and Spencer Arrighetti for the Astros, who it's been a really rough go for Arrighetti. And that was the case here. So as far as Rodón, let's talk about what he did. Carlos Rodón ends up going 6 1/3, 7 hits, 2 home runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. And that's the best part, is the no walks, 7 strikeouts. There was a hit by pitch, and that's been a bit of the thing for Rodón, where he seems to be hitting guys barely like on the foot. We've got to clean it up just a bit, but very good outing. His ERA sits at 3.56. Let's see what the rest of the numbers look like. It's getting better. 43 innings, 43 strikeouts, and a 1.26 whip. So, like, not as good like the Luis Heel numbers on a 1-for-1 basis. Heels are definitely better kind of across the board. But for Rodón, just generally speaking, I feel like he's been trending upward, and that's really good to see. And then Arrighetti just gets blasted. It's interesting. It's actually a better line than Verlander's, but it's similar. It's 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 home runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 3 homers. The Yankee offense was really clicking in games 1 and 2. And as far as the home run hitters were concerned, the only one that hit home runs in games 1 and 2 was Stanton with 1 homer each. Judge homered in game 2 and in game 3. So in this game, again, you get a Kyle Tucker homer in the first. His 11th homer of the year makes it 1-0, but the Yankees' quick response, single Volpe, and then an impressive home run by Soto, just to the left of dead center field. And just, look, Juan Soto at this point of the season is probably, and maybe this is a lazy take, but I don't think so. Soto is probably the AL MVP frontrunner. Now, it's a little foolish to bring it up this early into the season, but he's been that good. He has just been, and let me just reel off his numbers. And he ends up with 5 RBIs in game 2 here. 9 homers, 33 RBIs, a 333 batting average, a 438 on base percentage, and a 1.016 OPS. So, yeah, it really doesn't get, except and 9 homers is still good too. Everything about it is just what you love to see. And it couldn't be a better fit. So Soto's homer makes it 2-1 Yanks. Then in the bottom of the second, you end up with an RBI single, an infield single, a hustle single by Juan Soto. And that's the other thing with him too, is he does hustle. Now, the only thing is, like, he does admire his home runs for sure. He does do that, but for the most part, he is someone that plays with a lot of energy. And if something is close, he's going to go for it. And he got it there. Now, the unfortunate part is that there ends up being 2 runners on third. I'm not sure if more blame goes to Volpe or Glaber. And I'd be the first one to quickly blame Glaber. I don't know how fair that totally is. Volpe kind of needs to watch in front of him to know that Glaber wasn't coming home. Now, from Glaber's perspective, he probably should have been a little bit quicker. He probably should have been a little bit quicker with it all. It was kind of going a little bit slow. So that ends up in an out. So 3-1 Yankees. Let's go to the bottom of the third. And there you get a leadoff homer for Aaron Judge, opposite field, his 8th homer of the year. And then Giancarlo Stanton, 119.9 miles per hour exit velocity, which is the hardest in baseball to this point, 447 feet. So he has it in him. And look, in game 3, he goes over 4 strikeouts. So he's very feast or famine. But when he gets into one, it goes a long way and very quickly. So the Yankees take a 5-1 lead at that point. Rodón really settling in, doing a very nice job. And let's go to the bottom of the 6th. Arrighetti's out at this point, and you end up with an RBI ground out by Juan Soto, and then a 2-run double by Aaron Judge to make it 8-1. And then in the 7th inning, Carlos Rodón, I think he was left in maybe a batter too long. Dubon gets a 1-out double. I would have maybe pulled him at that point, because then Jake Myers gets an RBI triple. So it makes it 8-2, ends the night for Rodón, and Caleb Ferguson comes on and finishes out that 7th inning. In the 8th, it would be Victor Gonzalez coming on. He gives up a homer to Jeremy Pena. His 4th homer of the year makes it 8-3. Then at the bottom of the 8th, the Yankees get a run back off of Taylor Scott. It's an RBI single for Juan Soto. So 5 RBIs in the 9th for Soto, makes it 9-3. Then in the 9th inning, it would be Ian Hamilton who was on at that point. And look, for Hamilton, there have been struggles. There have been struggles for sure. But luckily, it ends up in a situation where Clay Holmes does not come in. I think he might have warmed up. I can't quite remember, but he didn't come in. And so Holmes, he actually hasn't pitched. He didn't pitch in the series, so he has not pitched since game 2 of the Tiger series. So he'll be fresh heading into the Tampa Bay Rays series. But as far as Hamilton was concerned, he did allow an RBI single to Jose Altuve. That made it 9-4. But luckily, where things could have gotten a little bit dicey, he strikes out Tucker and gets Alvarez to fly out. So Yankees at that point clinched the series victory. And at that point, had a season 6-game win streak versus the Astros and overall 9-game win streak dating back to last year. But now, unfortunately, game 3. And the Yankees lose it 4-3. And look, the Astros had chances themselves to blow it open and couldn't do it. So missed opportunities on both sides. The Yankees were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position in this game. We'll dissect this one just a little bit more. The Astros were 3 for 12. So, they did just a little bit more. And for the Astros, on the mound was Ronel Blanco, who has had a very nice season. And the Yankees really, they grinded it out, if nothing else. He ended up throwing 107 pitches in 5 2/3 innings. 4 walks in the Yankees. It wasn't as if he shut them down, but he did what he had to do. And in a lot of ways, sort of the bullpen, Brian Abreu especially. Ryan Presley ran into trouble, and he's had a really bad season. But then Josh Hader, and for him it's been a struggle, he ends up getting it done. So let's look at this game. And Marcus Stroman, he gives up 9 hits in 5 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 2 homers. He's 2-2 with a 3.8 ERA. And the 3.8 ERA, that's all right. I'm not going to complain with that really much at all. But it's a 1.50 whip. That's got to go down. It's got to go down. For Stroman, he has not been so good lately. And in the first inning, he's looking good to start, but with 2 outs, it all unravels. It's a home run for Yordan Alvarez, and no doubt about it, shot to right, a bullet. And then John Singleton, after a Jeremy Pena walk, it's a 2-run homer, his 4th homer of the year, 442 feet off the facing of the upper deck. I think the 3rd deck and right. Just an impressive shot for Singleton, makes it 3-0. In the first inning, so even though Judge hits an incredibly crazy 470-foot-plus home run in this game, he does fuck up at some key spots. So he's up at first and second, no out, and strikes out, and then Verdugo hits a double play. So for Alex Verdugo, after that really hot first game, a little bit more quiet as the series progressed, I still agree with him being in that cleanup spot. I would still leave him there against righties, for sure. So the score remains 3-0. Stroman gets into a big-time jam in the second inning, but he's able to wiggle out of it. He gets Tucker to strike out and Alvarez to fly out, and at that point, it had been, I believe, bases loaded, 1 out. So good job by Stroman to keep him in it at that point. And then again in the third inning, runner on third, no out, strikeout Singleton, fly out Bregman, ground out Diaz. So he's able to do that. That's been his calling card in his career. Third inning, you get a 2-run homer by Anthony Volpe. This was a Yankee Stadium home run, 5th homer of the year for Volpe. Just kind of perfect placement, and it makes it 3-2. So the Yankees are right back in it at this point. Let's jump to the 5th. In a pretty big extra run, which ended up being really the key insurance run the Astros needed. It's a 1-out double for Yordan Alvarez and then an RBI single by Pena just off the glove of Volpe. A diving attempt that he just misses, and it makes it 4-2. And now we go to the 5th. First and second, 1 out, Judge double play. So the Judge double plays are still there. Look, the numbers are a lot better. He has an 855 OPS. He's coming on. So I'm not, but, a little bit frustrating for sure. Luke Weaver finishes the 6th inning for the Yankees. Luke Weaver's, his success continues. He ends up going 1 1/3 innings, no hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. He's been really, really good, Luke Weaver. In the 8th inning, Dennis Santana pitches a scoreless 8th. And then in the bottom of the 8th, a 1-out homer for Judge, 473 feet, his 9th homer of the year. It's off of Ryan Presley. And then Presley walks Verdugo, and then a tough strikeout for Stanton. So Stanton goes 0 for 4 strikeouts. He strikes out looking on the last pitch. And look, it was close. They could have called it a ball, but they call it strike 3. And then Josh Hader comes on to face Rizzo, who pops out. Ron Marinaccio pitches the 9th inning, and he gets out of a jam where it's a runner on third, 1 out, and he gets Altuve to strike out. He walks Tucker. He's still second. Then he gets Yordan Alvarez to strike out. So for Marinaccio, I want to just give his numbers real quick. He's pitched 9 games. He's got a 1.42 ERA and a .79 whip. So he really was very excellent. I got to say, the more I look at this, I think he earned staying up there, but they didn't want to do that. And I hope that we see him again because Marinaccio, when he's on, can be a real asset. So let's go to the bottom 9th. It started out good. Gleyber Torres gets a single. Then they pinch hit John Birdie for Austin Wells, and this is where it was basically a swinging bunt. Birdie grounds out soft to the Hader. The throw was kind of in the dirt, if you. He kind of grounded it, spiked it. But John Singleton, the first baseman, makes an unbelievable scoop. That could have been a disaster for the Astros, but Singleton really saves the day. And so now it's runner on second, one out. The Yankees have a couple of cracks at tying this game. Jose Trevino pinch hits for Oswaldo Cabrera, and Trevino flies out to left. And then it comes down to Volpe, and it sucks because they were one batter away from Soto. And if you could have gotten to Soto, good chance positive results were going to come. Give Volpe credit. He was down on 2 in the count and fought back. It was an 8-pitch at bat, ultimately leading to him striking out against Hader. So the Astros salvage the series. They get the last game of the series. They win it 4-3. So the Yankees are now 25-14. Let's give a quick preview to this upcoming series at Tampa. So this will be a road trip that includes games at Tampa and then at Minnesota, who's been really good. The Twins are 22-15, but we'll get there when we get there. As far as Yankees-Rays are concerned now, keep in mind the Yankees played the Rays, what was it, a few weeks ago? 3 weeks ago or so, I think. And the Yankees took 2 out of 3 at home against the Rays. Tropicana Field's been a little bit of a different story. At times, it's been a house of horror for the Yankees. In looking at the home-road splits, yet again, the Rays, they're better at home. The Rays are 13-10 at home and 6-9 on the road. So just looking at that, would be very happy to somehow take 2 of 3. So the Rays are 19-19. They've been nothing special this year, but it's going to be Clark Schmidt against Taj Bradley. And Bradley's going to be making his season debut coming back from injury. Game 2 is going to be Nestor Cortez versus Zach Littell. Zach Littell is actually a former Yankee prospect. For Nestor Cortez, he's been a lot better at home than the road, so I'm hoping that trend does not continue. I'm hoping that he can have a good road start. I'll be keeping an eye on that. And then Game 3 will be Luis Gil, and TBD is listed for Tampa, so we'll see what they do for Game 3. So hoping Gil can continue his success. But this will be, these division series are always interesting. The Yankees sit a half game behind the Baltimore Orioles, but the Yankees are 2 games back on the loss side. And I guess while I'm looking at it, the Orioles, they're home against Arizona this weekend. So Arizona was a team coming into the season that there was a lot of high hopes for, but it's been a bit of a struggle for them. So we'll see what happens there. But hopefully the Yankees can keep pace with Baltimore. But again, Yankees do take the series. They win 2 of 3. However, they do lose the finale of the series, thus ending their winning streak. And now they will head to Tampa Bay to start a road trip.